My name is Isabel Boaten. I'm from Ghana. I'm the managing partner of AB and David Ghana. AB and David Ghana is a founding law partner of the Pan-African law firm AB and David Africa. I think it's a combination of the parents that I had. It also involves the man that I fell in love with, who fell in love with me, and my faith. My father was an illustrious diplomat, one of Kwame Nkrumah's first 10 diplomats who started a foreign service in Ghana and established missions and consulates abroad. But really, my mother was a real McCoy. Because of my father's long fiscal absences, it was really my mother who took care of us. She was the mother, she was the father. And she was an amazing combination of such sensitivity, such strength, such integrity, which she demonstrated, that you couldn't help but be affected by the way she lived her life. And I guess she imbued in all of us, including my siblings and myself, a sense of commitment, of loyalty and integrity. And I say that I'm blessed to have been loved by a great man, a man with an even keel. And I think that our relationship, I've known him since I was 16, and so it's been like a 32-year long journey. I think that longevity of our marriage and our relationship also taught me what loyalty, what commitment is about, to go through things, even when you have cliffhanger moments, when you have moments when you don't think you want to stay the course, but to keep on staying the course. And I think that for a career in the law, staying the course is very, very, expedient. You need to push yourself. You need to want to be in the law. You need to want to be motivated enough to go over all the hurdles or the mountains that you are suddenly sure to encounter. And I think a combination of all of that really helped me. And lastly, my faith. I think it's a great liberating force to know that you can key into a source that is stronger than yourself. And that has been also very instrumental in pushing me in my legal career. Because anytime I feel down, I feel tired, I'm like, I just key into God and I say, God, I surrender. I need you to help me with this. And so all of those things, experiences, have combined for me to help me to stay the course in my legal career. I've been in the same law firm for 22 years. I think that June 5th will be my 22nd year. And people ask me, why have you been in the same place for so long? And I say, because I've had bigger picture vision. Now, when I joined the firm, it was quite a young firm. We had, 3 partners, 2 of whom all went into different ventures. They decided to go on different journeys outside the law firm. So basically, with my senior partner and myself and another lawyer that was another colleague, we had to sort of start the law firm and push it forward. So I had to basically be a partner on steroids, because typically the law firm, the rules were that you have to be in the law firm for 7 years, you needed to build your technical expertise, you needed to demonstrate an ability to generate income, an ability to bring in clients, an ability to train and develop other lawyers. Those were some of the key criteria that was necessary for you to become a partner at the time. But because of the circumstance of the law firm, I suddenly was in my 5th year, 6th year, and then I had to, make an accelerated journey towards partnership. That was very, very, very daunting, because suddenly I had to go on steroids. But I had an amazing senior partner who pushed me. It was there were times when I didn't think that I had what it took to make that journey, because it was sort of sudden and I had to go and make some quantum leaps that I wasn't really prepared for. But he pushed me, he encouraged me, he frustrated me, he annoyed me, I must say, at times. But that all pushed me to a journey towards partner. Then, of course, there were times when I had to also sort of jump on his shoulders. There were times when, I had to be on his shoulders to become even taller than I really was. And all of that were really, really instrumental to, pushing me to become partner. And subsequently, when I was, asked to become managing partner, really my first question was, really, do you think I can do this? And I started to regale everybody with all the times when I hadn't done things right, as if to sabotage myself. But I'm happy to say that there was enough belief around, the table for my senior partner and my peers to trust that I would be, a safe pair of hands to ask to lead the firm. So that's how my journey in sum, I got to where I am today as managing partner of AB and David Garner. I think that we must, whilst we must acknowledge that men are increasingly become more aware to their responsibility to take on part of the burden of care. I'm talking about family life, nurturing children. Largely, that burden of care still remains with women. And it still becomes one of the biggest issues that can be, yes, it is a gratifying thing to be a mother, to be a wife and all of that, but in terms of your professional progression, it can be a big mountain to climb. And for me, that was really the mountain, because whilst your male colleagues would, not have to go from work to the house to pick up children, to do homework. I'm not saying that that's the case for everybody. I'm just saying largely, you had to, had to do that. You had to look after your children. You had to make sure that the home was put together, as well as, still work and pursue your career and your profession. So that is really, really the biggest thing, I think. Then as a parallel to that, I think are certain nuances or cultural perceptions that still affect women and how they grow. So whilst in my law firm, there was no institutional bias, so to speak, outside, externally, there was this expectation that once you were a woman that was progressing, the bar seemed to be higher. So either the bar was too high, and the expectation was that for you to be a woman to have gotten to this stage, to be a partner, that we have a certain high expectation of you, or they put the bar so low that, okay, if we don't put the bar high, then okay, let's put the bar low so that you can jump across. So either way has the potential to let you feel not as motivated as you should be, because when the bar is higher for you simply because you're a woman, or the bar is set low for you because you're a woman, it still doesn't provide any kind of motivation. But what I've also found was there was also still, beyond the fact that it was a male-dominated profession and you had to compete with men, you also had to compete with yourself as a woman. Compete with yourself in the sense that you had certain belief systems that you needed to overcome. So let me give an example. You would find that as a woman, and I have experience, and I'm only talking about my experiences, is that you found it difficult to claim opportunities. So whilst there's an opportunity that would come in, and the opportunity is presented to you, the female, and then your male colleague, they will grab it, in a hurry. And you would be thinking, can I do this? You'd be having these conversations with yourself about self-doubt before you even emerge to say, I can do this. And sometimes by the time you emerge, your male colleague would have already taken up the opportunity. So those are some of the things that I talk about, the battle with oneself, the battle of being a woman, sometimes the battles that you have with yourself. The other thing, I think for me, and I'm talking about my own experiences, is the long turnaround time that we typically have from making mistakes. So you would go to, let's say, a conference, and a man goes up the stage, makes a terrible presentation, and you would expect that they wouldn't even show up for lunch. But you come to the lunch and they are at the lunch table munching away loudly and seemingly seem to have even forgotten, the terrible presentation that was done. Meanwhile, you will find that you have the same encounter and you're probably in the ladies' room crying your eyes out because you're thinking to yourself, you made such a humongous mistake. And the truth of the matter is that you are the only person who is exaggerated all the wrong parts or all the errors that you made. So those are some of the things that I thought and I think used to be a challenge for me when I had to climb up the ladder. But of course, with maturity and growing up and having self-awareness, you realize that no, you're really, really, you're really all that, and you have what it takes to really progress. I don't think there's ever really, you can ever really find the perfect balance. I think what I did in the beginning was I struggled in the beginning. I thought asking for help was as if to say to others that I couldn't do it. And of course, now that I'm more mature, I realize that was a big mistake. But as I progressed in my career, I began to see the need to prioritize. So I prioritized and I told myself, what is the most important thing to me between my family, between my work life, between my career? And I decided that, indeed, family life was number one for me. Over the years, I had told myself that family life was number one for me, but I hadn't acted like that. So what I did was that, luckily for me, I had built a lot of leverage along the line. And I think it's very important for women to see that they need to build leverage. You need to build leverage in terms of being competent, being consistent, being visible in terms of the things that you do, so that when you need to call in that leverage, everybody rallies around you and says, this is what she wants to do, let's support her. So I had built a leverage, I prioritized, and I said, okay, now my family was going to be the first thing. Now, because I knew that my family was now going to be the first thing, that meant that I also had to invest time and energy in training and building the capacity of the team that I work with. Because a lot of things that used to be something that I had to focus on, that had to be something that I had to deal with directly. I realized that there were a lot of people around me, there was a lot of help available, people around me who had the capacity to step in my shoes and do a lot of the things that I didn't need to do anymore. So that was one of the ways in which I built my balance. I prioritized, I built my leverage, and then I asked for help. And then I built the capacity of other people to step in for me when it was necessary. So that really I can say now that when I say that my family is the priority, that is the kind of life I'm acting out right now. So what I would tell them is, you need to build leverage, like I'd already talked about. You can't just not be competent, want to do, the least in a team and expect to build leverage. You need to be competent. You need to build competency in your area of expertise. The other thing that you need to also understand is that sometimes you find that young women are looking up to women like us. And when they look at us, they forget that we have come from a journey. That even though we don't have, dust, showing on our shoes, we've come from a journey. So there's a temptation especially when you speak to young women, for them to say, how can I ever become like you? And I say, you can become like me. It's really not that, extraordinary. You are only asking me, how can I become like you? Because you're seeing me in my new packaging. But if you knew me along my life journey, you understand that it's possible to be like me. So I tell young people that they have to appreciate that every person that they aspire to has come from a journey. And it's important to also to submit themselves to mentoring, to understanding how those women have come along that journey and seeing what they can learn from the experiences of older people. Also, I say that young women should understand that they have to embrace their femininity. As a woman in leadership, I see that it's such a great tool to embrace your femininity. Sometimes I'm a mother, sometimes I'm a friend, sometimes I'm a sister, sometimes I'm a mentor. But all of those different roles give me the opportunity to get into people's minds and people's hearts and create a certain bond with them when I'm leading. And I don't want young women to feel that for them to lead or for them to progress, they have to lose a sense of their femininity and be more masculine in their approach towards issues. So that's the kind of advice, and I'm hoping that young women who are listening to me would try it out and see, and it does work. There are, I think, three things I'm now pursuing, and I want to do that even more. I want to write. I started to write a blog about it. The blog is about Isabel's journey of discovery, where I talk about my experiences from being a pupil to an associate to becoming a managing partner. And I talk about the human side of things. I think that sometimes people see, people who have succeeded or people who made it to the top and think that they don't have issues like self-doubt. They don't have issues of, a comfort zone. All of those issues that can sort of inhibit your ability to grow. Those are the kind of things I talk about in my blog, and I want to talk about them a little bit more, because sometimes when it comes to the legal career, we focus a lot on the fact that your competence and your technical expertise is what is going to carry you. Sometimes what doesn't carry you is your self-doubt. What doesn't carry you is your fear that other people are better than you. There's so many things that hold us back, and those are the things I want to write about. I also want to do a lot more mentoring of younger women and men, so that I can impart to them some of the experiences I've had and to help them to grow and progress in the law. The last thing that I want to do more, and I didn't do that in my younger years, and I would also encourage younger women to do that, is not to be afraid to shine. Not to be afraid to shine. In my younger years, I was so comfort zone focused. I just wanted to be like the engine, not to be the headlights. But I realized that especially the intelligence that you have, the people that come in your life, along your life journey, the people who encourage you, the people who frustrate you, the people who push you, is all a gift. And because all of that is a gift, especially because of my faith, I believe that because all of that is a gift, it is important that you shine so that you light up the pathway for others, so that others can believe that if you've done it, they can also do it. And you can't do that if you decide that you are so stuck with your comfort zone, you're so stuck to, holding yourself and not wanting to be out there, because then you don't give anybody the opportunity to see you and to be inspired and to be encouraged to do the next thing. So I intend to shine in my last couple of years going forward.